So, Tom, we should, we're going to do that one story in a bit, but we should definitely do that Joe Exotic one because people seem to like Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic. All right, let's call this up here. Did you watch the Joe Exotic show, didn't you?
I did.
You watched Lion King?
I will say that there was so many people after the fact that I think got the wrong message, which is that Joe Exotic is some kind of hero, and he's not a hero. He's a bad person.
Thank you.
He's a genuinely bad person,
Cecil,
man.
let's spend just a minute. Before. First of all, it's a great story.
Ian,
if you haven't seen it.
Okay, Ian.
What?
That's enough.
What's he put? What happened?
Highlight it again, Ian. Highlight it again for Tom to see it.
Where was Carol Baskins on
Okay.
Like, I listened to, like, a year before the thing came out on Netflix, I listened to a long-form podcast series about it, so I had kind of a background. And so when it came to Netflix, we were, like, really excited to watch it. And we watched it, and there's no way you walk away from that. There's just no way you walk away thinking, man, Joe Exotic is the good guy, and Carol Baskin is the bad guy. And somehow,
Joe Exotic's
crazily,
such a shitty person. He's such
the
a
worst.
shitty person.
All you walk away from is like, all the dudes involved in this weird world of tiger sanctuary thing have crazy harems. You either have a crazy meth harem full of dudes that accidentally shoot themselves, don't have enough teeth, and fucking arms and shit get fucking ripped off. That's over here. And then the other guy who I would watch every documentary of ever, and they just like spend 10 total footage minutes. The other guy has a harem of similarly dressed young women living on his like Tiger Island or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is somehow glossed over. That is the story I want to watch. He is currently running a tiger-themed sex cult. And people are like, well, Carol Baskin seems like a real bitch. And you're like, that's the wrong takeaway.
I don't think you can see his actual stream unless you go to his OnlyFans. Then you could see whatever you want. I also want to say just really quickly, I know the guy finally got his teeth fixed, that guy, but looking at that guy's mouth, okay, when he would talk, I felt like that one tooth that was in the front was just in the wrong place.
I know, where was it in a normal tooth place?
I could not place where that tooth actually belonged. It didn't make any sense. I would see the tooth and I would think, is that tooth? Is it like one of those weird cubes that's hyper positioned in two different spaces or something? You know what I mean? It just was so strange. It was like a sci-fi tooth. It was so weird.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
And like people hate on Carol Baskin. She didn't seem to, as far as I can tell, she didn't do anything.
Yeah.
She's like a reasonable, decent enough, a little wacky, but she's not
totally
an attempted
wacky.
murderer.
Hey, you cats and kittens. She is a little wacky.
She is a little wacky.
She is a little wacky.
God, it's fucking crazy. All right, so Joe Exotic, this story's from Pink News. Joe Exotic reportedly spent $10,000 in Trump Hotel hoping for presidential pardon. That sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
That's room service. That's a Trump Hotel. That's lunch. Yeah.
That's one day. Yeah.
That's one lunch at a Trump hotel. So this story is great. Representatives for Joe Exotic reportedly ran up a $10,000 bill.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's representatives?
Thank you. I was going to go there too.
What are you talking about?
Yep.
Do they elect you in a state election so you could be a representative of Joe Exotic?
How the fuck are you still team Joe Exotic? Fucking Joe Exotic is locked up for being an awful person, right? He's just locked up. He's terrible. And you're not locked up and you're like, all right, well, what would Joe want me to do right now? That's how I'm going to spend my day. Like once my boss gets locked in prison, I go find a different boss. Yeah. That's the thing I do. Who the fuck is still loyal to some guy who kills tigers and then goes to jail for attempted murder?
Well, there's that one woman I'm sorry, I apologize because that person is trans. That it was a man on that series that had their arm ripped off. Do you remember this?
Right, yeah.
Still apologizing for Joe Exotic.
Yeah, that person was like, I probably shouldn't have even had that arm in the first place. That arm was stupid. It probably was taunting the tiger. I should have gone near that tiger cage wearing skin.
I couldn't believe that. Oh, it was
God.
unreal.
Yeah. All right. So they spent $10,000 basically trying to buy a pardon. That's what they're doing. They're trying to get the president's attention, is what they said. They're trying to get his attention by spending money at his business. That's called buying a pardon. If that works, that has to be criminal. How is that not criminal?
Yeah.
And the only answer I can come up with is because nothing seems to be criminal anymore. Because we just don't care.
Because you could just
you could
walk
just
into the
pardon
White
yourself
House.
for it.
Yeah, well, you could just walk into the White House and make it rain on the president, and he'll give you something. He'll just give you the desk. He'll give you the desk. He will just say, Resolute desk. It's little now. We shrunk it down with a shrink ray, but you can have this little one. You could have the end table version of the Resolute desk. You can take that with you.
God damn. Holy shit. $10,000.
Well, and then he's
His
pissed because it
representative.
doesn't seem like it's going to work.
I know.
But what was crazy is somebody asked Trump a question at a certain point at a press conference, and he said, we're going to look into it. We're going to look into giving this guy a pardon. Don't you have better things to do with your time?
You know that's just because he has no idea who Joe Exotic was.
Yeah.
And so, but he can't, instead of standing there and saying, I didn't see that, I don't know what it is, he just has to pivot and be like, oh, we're looking into it. I know all about it. Good guy, best guy, maybe the best guy. Exotic guy named Joe, give him a pardon. I have pardons, pardon me, pardon you. Like, he's just a fucking babbler. It doesn't make any difference. A fucking promise from Trump. Can you imagine being like, oh, I can taunt the big guy in the fucking prison yard because I got a promise from Trump that I'll be out tomorrow. Yeah, enjoy your shivving, stupid. That's not
God.
worth the $10,000 you
So
paid for it.
Oh,
So great.
I mean, it's a good gamble, though. Don't you think it's a good gamble?
Yeah, because if anybody was going to sell their pardons, it would be Trump.
Yeah, it would be Trump.
Yeah,
You know?
it would be Trump.
I thought I saw this week that there was something that was coming out that they looked like they were going for some sort of investigation because something leaked this week. Some judge released some papers that said that they were looking into pardoning for favors. And so they're already looking at,
Yeah, I read the same thing in the Times. The DOJ is investigating a pardon for favors scheme, and Giuliani has already had conversations about being pardoned. There's there's talk and pretty high level talk about whether or not Trump is going to pardon his kids. He's just going to go on a fucking pardoning spree. He could pardon himself.
Yeah.
That's the thing that he can do. He can pardon himself. And here's the crazy thing I learned this week. You can pardon yourself for crimes which have not yet been charged or alleged. So you can essentially pardon someone or anyone. So let's say I'm the president, Cecil, and I'm going to pardon Cecil.
That would be a horrifying thing. Anyway, go ahead.
Here's what I could do. I could say, I am pardoning you of all federal crimes 2020 and past.
Yeah. Everything.
I don't have to name the crimes.
It's basically whatever. Wave your hand in the cross pattern and give them a little wafer, and they're free of sin.
Yeah, it's totally fucking bonkers. You don't even have to be accused of a crime. A crime doesn't have to be alleged. It doesn't have to be like a crime that you're charged with.
Yeah.
You can just waive all that.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does the president even have pardoning power? This doesn't seem like an executive level function anybody should have. Why does the governor or the president even have this power? It does not seem like a rational thing to give them. Like, oh, you're going to charge the government, and then, if you want to make people not in trouble for crimes, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's 370 million people, and like I can just pick one of them and be like, Joe didn't do it.
Yep. Yeah, I know that there was thousands of pardons by Obama, but Obama was pardoning people that were in jail for a bag of coke, and they were serving 60 years or something. And so I know that he went through and these weren't people that were famous. They were just people that just so happened to have a bad case against them that, was nonviolent, and he was freeing some nonviolent offenders. So I know that that's the case, but you're right. I don't know why it is one of those things that the president, and it also feels like, especially in this particular administration, that this is one of the things that they've been banking on the whole time. We'll see. If they all use it, then you knew that they were banking on it the whole time.
Right. True.
Yeah.
True.